Welcome to the Dateable AF podcast, because women dating women is wild, wonderful, and occasionally a disaster. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Kyle, a therapist in private practice.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Howell, researcher extraordinaire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of the Dateable AF podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about sorry, not sorry. Why half-hearted apologies make things worse. I do not understand why apologies are so freaking hard for people.
They are hard.
Why do you think they're so hard?
People are lousy at them.
Yes. If I'm just going to tell you and our listeners right now that if you could just glean the little nuggets of wisdom that we are going to drop on you today, it is going to make a world of difference in all your relationships. It's a guarantee, money back guarantee.
And this is the shit that people pay $250 an hour to go learn. And you get to learn it right here for free on Spotify on our podcast.
Yes. So listen up, everyone. If you are making any of the mistakes we talk about, we are going to tell you how to fix them. So, Rachel, I'm sure over your lifetime, you have received some bad apologies. Can you give us an example of what a bad apology might sound like?
I have received some bad apologies, and I have given some bad apologies.
Me too, girl.
So a bad apology, for me, the one that ticks me off the most that I feel is common is somebody saying, I am sorry, but that word just pisses me off. I'm like, don't let it come out of your mouth if you're going to have a but behind it.
Don't bother. My favorite is, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
No. Do not be sorry for how I feel. Be sorry for what you did that prompted me to feel this way.
That one can be a little bit tricky sometimes if you have a little heat on, you get a little burn. Mm-hmm. And to me, the but is easier to just not do. Like, just know not to say but after your apology. But the other one is, I feel like if you've really got a burn on, then sometimes you have to put yourself in check and think,
yes,
don't think about how you're going to say it.
Yep. I agree. So we are going to talk today about apologies as a tool for connection. Apologies are not defeat. I will be saying this throughout this episode, but apologies are not defeat. They are tools for connecting. So let's start with that basic premise, and we will go from there.
I love that premise, and I don't think most people consider them to be that. Also, in the beginning, when you ask me why it's so hard, I do believe that most people see it as an admission of something wrong.
Yes, an admission of guilt, an admission that you're wrong, an admission that you've now lost the fight. Man, people will resist this, and apologies are free. They are free. They will make everything better. I think the other thing that I hear a lot in my practice is people saying, well, the person's just going to stay mad at me anyway, so why am I going to bother to apologize?
That's a cop-out. Complete and total cop-out.
Yes, for sure. And I want to just get the idea across that an apology is for hurting someone that you care for. You're not even saying that you're wrong. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but it doesn't mean you're not saying I was wrong. You're saying, I'm sorry that what I did had a negative impact on you. So you're apologizing for impact, not intent. Like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but if the result is that I did hurt your feelings, then I'm apologizing for the impact.
I think one of the things that this brings up is people believing that the other person really doesn't intend them harm, that that's not their intention to hurt them.
Yes.
And that the person, especially your partner, loves you and doesn't actually really enjoy knowing they've done something that hurts you, whether
Yeah.
you can look at it a million different ways, but they don't believing that that person really does love you enough that they would never intentionally hurt you.
Yes. And side note, if you're with someone who you believe would intentionally hurt you, you should probably rethink that relationship.
I yeah, I completely agree. If you don't have confidence in that, it is a good conversation because it maybe the person really does love you and you just don't have the confidence in it. That would be a question as well, that you can't let it go and see it, let it in.
Yes. I think that people do that out of self-protection, that they keep their walls up and they're afraid to let the apology in because it, what if they get hurt again? What if they're being foolish? What if the person did mean to hurt them? So I think that basic belief that the person you're talking to didn't intentionally hurt your feelings is a really important premise.
I have a Monique and Veronica story here.
Oh, do tell.
Yes, that it's Monique and Veronica are married in this story, and that they have had a long journey of understanding one another. They're very different in the way that they deal with things. Their approach to problems and problem solving is very different. And over the lifespan of their time being together, they have had to learn how to do those things. And a part of that was them dealing with hurting one another's feelings. And because they were having very hard conversations. And Monique one day, who told me, she said, the biggest thing that has helped us move beyond these really difficult conversations, that sometimes we walk away and we really are, hurt, sore because we've said something, approached it in a way that was very hurtful, was that we both know that we would rather do anything than intentionally hurt one another, anything than that. And that they both carry that into this day. That is the way, that is at the baseline of their relationship. And it's been a pleasure to watch them navigate their differences with that being the foundation under them.
I love that. How do you think they got there?
Talking about it. And then, I think we're going to mention this in this program, but the acknowledgement, them saying to one another, oh my God, now that I've heard how deeply that wounds you, I don't want to do it. I do not want to do that. Nothing in me feels good about that. So having to say how it made them feel, than the other person having to carry it and listen to it. And I think that's how they have gotten over some very, very interesting humps.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to get past hurdles is to make sure that you know what hurts your partner's feelings because you guys are openly talking about it, and then to check your behavior accordingly and don't repeat the same thing if you know it's super hurtful to the person you're with. I love that. One of the examples that I often will use with clients about kind of setting up this apology is, let's say that you're having a party on Saturday night and I can't come, and you say, oh man, it hurts my feelings that you can't come to my party. Well, I'm not wrong. There's nothing wrong with me not coming to your party. And the impact of me not coming is that it hurts your feelings. And so I'm not going to say, well, I was wrong. I'm going to say, wow, I'm so sorry that I hurt your feelings. Because this is just a clear example of how this bridges a gap in our relationship. Without me having to say I'm a terrible person or I'm wrong, I might not be sorry that I can't come to the party. But I'm sorry that the result of my not coming to the party is that it's hurting the feelings of my friend.
I think it's a really simple example, and but also very relevant. Also, listeners, many of you are probably listening out there and thinking, this is a simple thing that really do that many people not know how to do this? Let me tell you, and I know that Sarah can probably back this up just in her practice. It is astounding how many people are not good at this very basic concept.
Yes, they're not good at it, number one. And even when they learn how to do it, for some reason, this is just one that people dig their heels in about. And I cannot tell you how many couples I have seen transformed when they get hold of this idea that it's super simple to just say, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I hurt your feelings. So we are going to give you guys some concrete tools. So let's talk about the benefits. What are the benefits of apologizing?
Well, one of the main ones is certainly your partner feeling seen and heard.
Yeah, absolutely. They know that you've heard them. They know that you have seen how your behavior impacted them. And that is probably the biggest thing. The second thing I would say is that this repairs a relationship. It restores a connection that you had with this person. If there's been some kind of breach, you want to get back to a place of connection. Both of you want that. And apologizing restores that connection. And it also helps you build safety with that person.
Don't you think it's interesting that I think in our nature, we want to be connected to our person. We want to be connected to our friends, but we want to be connected to our partner. And people will hold on to this shit like a snapping turtle. That when all they had to do was say, I'm sorry, without a but behind it, say, I'm sorry, in order to regain connection. Instead, they go to bed mad, wake up in the morning. I mean, you think about the amount of lost time that exists within a relationship of you not being connected to your person just because you cannot say those.
Yes. Oh my God. I will also add that there is a little selfish component to it too, because when you apologize, you feel relief. You feel relief that the argument is often over. You feel personal relief because you owned up to something and because you kind of mastered this skill and that you're living in integrity. That if you're a good person who doesn't want to hurt someone, then it's living in integrity to apologize if you did something that was hurtful.
I would challenge all of our listeners out there, if you haven't looked at an apology this way, or you haven't actually given this thought, it is, the apology is not always just about what is happening for the other person, but it is for you too. And that your recognition that and embracing shit, I did this and I want to own it. And I want to look at the person and say, oh, sorry. That is a good thing. And I do believe that, as this is relevant, however much time may have passed, in those moments where you look out and you have people in your life that mean something to you and you realize, whether it's in the past or whatever, if it's relevant to you, use your words, say it. I think it will be meaningful. And you're not doing it, hopefully, you're not doing it because you need a response from them. It may not be anything that is in the way of your relationship anymore, but trust me, it can mean something to you.
Yeah,
personally.
for sure. You get something off of your chest, so you can look at it like that. Let's break down for folks the actual steps of an apology. So we're going to guide you here through the step-by-step of how to pull this off successfully. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that if any of you are familiar with 12-step programs, this is kind of rooted in 12-step programs, and it's that you do an internal inventory of what went wrong. And I always like to say to people, when you do this, you're always like, well, I did this, but yeah, they did these other things. And maybe I only did one small thing, but they did 10 big things. It's like, I don't care if they have a pile of 100 crappy things that they did. That is not what you're going to focus on right now. What you are going to focus on is perhaps the one tiny thing that you did that was hurtful. So just scan through. And one of the phrases that I like to use is, where did I set the ball rolling? And that may not be that I was the cause of it, but where did I participate in getting things off track? So let's go back to our simple Saturday night party example. It hurts your feelings that I'm not coming to your party. So maybe I set the ball rolling because I didn't fully explain to you why I wasn't going to come. Maybe I'm super introverted and parties make me very anxious. And if I say, hey, I'd love to spend time with you, I just don't want to do it around 100 people, you might not have had your feelings hurt. Or if I said, hey, I'm so sorry, it's my grandmother's 90th birthday and I have to be out of town to go to her birthday celebration. Well, then your feelings are probably not going to be hurt. So maybe I set the ball rolling by not explaining things. I'll give an example. I actually had a couple in my office this week who was one of the partners had said to the other, hey, this thing needs to be fixed in our house. And the partner said, oh yeah, I'll get that on my list. And time went by, the thing didn't get fixed. And the person said it again, like, hey, don't forget this thing needs to be fixed. Well, they got in a big fight about it. And it turns out that partner number one felt like they had communicated really well. And partner number two was like, I've told you not to come tell me these things in the middle of my workday because I'm not going to remember. So if you look at that, both people could have easily apologized. Partner number one could have said, oh, I know you told me that that wasn't the best time to communicate with you. I'm sorry that I didn't communicate with you at a different time. And partner two could have said, you know what? I acknowledged that you told me that. I clocked it and I just didn't put it on the list. So I'm sorry that I said I would do it and I didn't do it. And then it would have been over. But instead, this turned into a huge blow up that lasted for days until they got into my office to work through it.
That seems so simple. I will say that it is, I do think it's hard when you're really mad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is difficult to find your tiny sliver or your even giant piece of the pie whenever you have a burn on.
Yes, it's really true. And in this case, they were both really focused on the other. The one was saying, but I told you, but I did tell you. And they're them saying, I've told you over and over, don't put things on my list in the middle of my workday. And so, yeah, how's that helpful? That they could have just both acknowledged like, oh, I could have done that differently. And then it would have been over.
So much of this goes back to whether or not your main objective with your person is your interest in connecting and finding a resolution to be together versus being right.
Yes. Oh, God, that is such a helpful phrase. Do I want to be right or do I want to be connected? Because a lot of times you can't be both.
Right. It's a hard concept. I mean, I don't think the concept's hard, but I think it's hard when you're in it.
Yep, for sure. For sure. So after you've taken your internal inventory to figure out what your part was, the second thing is don't sit on it. Just do it quickly. As soon as you've acknowledged, as soon as there's been this breach and you've understood what your part is, go quickly to the person and say, I'm sorry. Anxiety festers if you wait. And so don't let it build up into something that it's not. Just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done.
I'm sorry that I ate Twizzlers in front of you and you didn't have it.
When we got on our call today to record this podcast, Rachel was waving Twizzlers in my face, and she knows how much I love Twizzlers, and I don't have any at my house. So she was...
It's not my fault you don't have any at your house. You ate them all on your road trip.
This is true. You're not wrong. but you don't sound that sorry, to be honest.
I'm sorry. I put the third one away. I put it back in the bag.
I'm sorry I ate Twizzlers in front of you.
I am sorry, but it was rude.
That's right. Well, that was a good example of our third point, which is that you want to specifically acknowledge what you did. And so if you say, I'm sorry, you didn't have any Twizzlers at your house, that is not an apology. If the words I'm sorry are followed by the word you, that is not correct, my friend.
It's true. I was just trying to act out the good one and the bad one.
Yeah. So in this case, you would say, I'm sorry that I ate those Twizzlers in front of you. I'm sorry that I taunted you in that way. Not, I'm sorry you don't have any Twizzlers at your house.
And that you ate them all on your road trip.
You don't know if I did that or not.
And you gambled all your money away, so don't blame me that you can't buy any Twizzlers.
Mama can't afford Twizzlers now.
Oh, my pod buddy over here, she hit the casinos this weekend, and baby needs a new pair of shoes and can't buy them now.
Woo-wee. I will say that I go gambling approximately once every 5 years. There's a reason for that. I don't even smoke cigarettes, but I can find myself chain smoking at the blackjack table.
I can see Joe and I dragging you out, doing an intervention. Get her the hell out of there.
It could happen. It could happen. They have those 800 numbers everywhere. Like, if gambling's a problem for you, I'm like secretly writing it down on the napkin.
I know. I can just see you with your beady little eyes, seeing those chips stack up, and thinking,
there's no better feeling in the world than seeing those chips pile up in front of you.
Hit me.
Yep.
I'm surprised you made it home.
I know. I did. I had $3.50 left in my wallet when I got home. Oh, well, at least I do have a pact that I would not pull. I have a gambling budget, and I do not pull extra money out after my gambling budget is spent.
I'm glad to know that you don't cross that line.
Mm-hmm. Not yet.
Not yet.
I'll tell you in 5 more years when I go back next time.
All right, Missy, that is a dangerous place.
Those Oklahomans were trying to take my money.
Well, we want to talk about.
They're at the Windstar Casino.
Well, so step number 4, we digress.
We digress. So after you have specifically acknowledged what you did, I'm sorry I did X, Y, and Z. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's next?
You offer a corrective action. So something like what you'll do differently and why it matters. Like so saying, I'm sorry, I did hear that interrupting you in the middle of your workday is not a good thing. And so I will try to make sure that next time when we talk about the chore you needed me to do, that I want you to do, I will approach you outside your office hours.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, I think that is a great one. Or I'm sorry that I taunted you with the Twizzlers, and what I'm going to do differently next time is I'm not going to eat them in front of you when I know you don't have any.
Exactly.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
And then the last and maybe most important step is that you show that you're actually making that change. You demonstrate, you follow through, you make it real. So if next time we get on to record, you got some Twizzlers in your mouth, then I will know that you were not sincere.
So how many times do you have to, if you keep saying you're sorry, but you keep messing it up, then what is that?
Then you got to break up. Then you just lop that person off like a bad limb.
Lop them off. Lop them off. Is it like 3 times and then you lop?
That's it. I'm going to say 2 tops.
2. I agree with you.
But no, on a serious note, apologies or demonstrating change is about making an agreement and keeping it. And so if you agree that you're not going to interrupt your partner in the middle of their workday with a chore, and then you keep doing it, then the conversation becomes, we had an agreement, what happened? So what's making that person say they're going to do something and then not follow through? And that often, I will give a plug to my profession, that often will require the intervention of a therapist or a third party to say, like, let me help you guys navigate that, because people can't see, you can't read the label from inside the bottle, and you can't often see where things are going awry by yourselves.
Yeah. It's what keeps you
Some
in business.
Yep. And sometimes people, I would say often people agree to something because they're trying to appease the other person. It's a temporary fix. It doesn't work in the long run. So if you can't agree to something, it's better to not.
That's a great point. It won't last. If you're just trying to, in the moment, get out of what you consider something that's uncomfortable, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Yes. And I call that best behavior. I'm going to be on my best behavior until you get off my ass. And then as soon as you're off my ass, I'm going to go right back to what I was doing before. So that's, that is a temporary fix at best. So when someone apologizes to you, let's talk about how to accept that apology, because I want to go back to the concept of positive reinforcement, that if you ask your dog to sit and your dog sits, what do? You treat.
Yeah.
Yes.
You reward them.
Yeah, we are not that much more sophisticated than dogs. Sorry for the crass analogy, but when your partner does something that you want them to do, you give them a treat. So you want them to apologize. So if they apologize, the treat that you give them is you say, thank you so much for apologizing. I appreciate your apology. You don't go into a litany of what they did wrong.
Then you're back in the same argument, and there you are again.
Yeah. When you apologize for the Twizzlers, I say, thank you for apologizing. I don't say, well, this is the third time you've eaten Twizzlers in front of me, and I really don't appreciate it. It's like, no, this is not when you go into berating them again for their bad behavior. You thank them for the good behavior, which is the apology.
You're welcome.
So don't rehash the offense, and don't dismiss the apology like, oh, you don't mean that, or don't roll your eyes. Those aren't, this is not the time for that.
And then what about normalize needing time before forgiving? That is interesting and hard, because if there's been a pretty strong violation and so you still need some time, it doesn't mean you're not accepting the apology. And that's where I think you have to use your words if you're the person receiving the apology, but you still need a little time just to get your feet underneath you and is saying, I appreciate that. Thank you for your apology. And I need a little bit more time, but I promise I'm going to come back to you. I just need a little more time to lick my wounds or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't want to hang this over someone like a threat. Like, well, I just can't talk about this right now. You say, I can't talk about this right now, and I promise I am going to work my way back. Like you said, if the violation was something pretty significant, I'm thinking about a couple that I know where one of the partners had a few too many drinks and ended up kissing someone else at a bar and felt terrible about it, came home, told her partner about it. Well, she was very remorseful and very apologetic, but the partner didn't just bounce back automatically. She needed the partner needed a little extra time to process through what happened and to get her feet back under her. And so that would be the time to say, thanks for being honest with me. Thanks for telling me the truth. I am going to get past it. I just haven't bounced back quite yet.
Yeah, one time, many years ago, I decided in all of my great college wisdom to break up with one of my girlfriends when I was up on a ski lift. And
that sounds like a really bad idea.
We were really high up. And I said I was sorry.
I'm surprised she didn't push your ass right off that lift.
Well, so we had flasks on. I think this is probably the closest I've come to dying, is that she ripped her flask off and threw it, and we were so high, it was like, woo, woo, and I immediately wrapped my arm around the chairlift like this and held on because I thought she might push me off. So she needed a little more time to digest that. She needed to burn off the homicidal ideation that she was experiencing.
Oh, too bad our podcast wasn't around back then for her to learn how to accept your apology. I'm breaking up with you. I'm sorry.
I was really, and when I reflect back on that moment, because when I tell this story, most people are like, what in the world were you thinking? Why did you do it up there? I don't know why, but maybe it was the fresh air. I needed to cleanse myself. I was trying to be honest. I don't know. I'm sure it was like schnapps or something like that. Or
maybe you had a few too many shots of that.
All I know was that she had crazy in her eyes.
Uh-oh. Look out for the crazy eyes. Maybe we should do a whole episode about that. Crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah.
You could see it right away.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, she needed time. I just felt like that was a good example.
Did y'all ski down together or separately?
No, I think I had a blackout after that.
You just blocked it all out.
I don't remember because I also we were staying in the same house and the rest of the trip together and somehow we got home. I don't know what happened.
What were you thinking? This is a very bad idea.
It's only one of a few of my exes that I'm not friends with anymore.
I wonder why.
I think it left a bad mark. She still obviously needs more time.
Apparently, she's going to listen to this podcast and get back with you because she knows that you're sorry that you did that. Did you want to shout her out? Was that Monique or Veronica?
I'd love to shout her damn name out, but I'm not going to.
Do we have a statute of limitations that we could use people's real names if it's been a certain number of years?
Oh, this is my college days, so I'll just say that.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you could shout her out, but I'm going to press you on that.
No.
All right. Well, if you accept someone's apology by saying, thank you for apologizing, I appreciate your apology, you don't rehash their offense or you don't dismiss them, and you give them time to process, this really matters for your future relationship health, because what this does is it sets that tone of trust. It sets that tone of caring about each other's feelings. And I just can't reinforce enough how much capital you gain from participating in both sides of this in a helpful way.
I think it goes back to the original story I told about my friends that have built a really healthy relationship around getting to becoming good at this. And I also think that the more you do it, the more the two people get good at doing that and giving and taking in that way, the easier it gets. And just the easier it is for both parties, the giving the apology, accepting the apology, and buying into the fact that you really do want to connect and you want to be connected.
Yes, absolutely. And practice makes perfect. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. It doesn't seem quite so scary and painful after you've done it a bit. So let's talk about the takeaways that we want folks to have from this episode.
Well, one is that apologies don't make you weak. They make you powerful.
Yes.
They do.
Yes, that it puts you actually in the power position when you take responsibility for your behavior and when you take responsibility for caring about your partner's feelings.
I will give a shout out to those folks who are perfectionists. I think that this can be extremely hard for you if you are a perfectionist to accept the idea, to really buy into the idea that an apology doesn't make you weak, that it's not about a mistake you've made, and that it actually does make you more powerful. So if you know you're a perfectionist, a lot of this stuff may ring true for you.
Yeah, lean into it. And that you're apologizing, remember, for impact, not for your intent. Hopefully you would never intentionally hurt your partner's feelings, but if the impact of your behavior was if they got hurt, then apologize for the impact. I'm so sorry that I hurt you.
And then the frequent, proper apologies strengthen trust and connection, which is what I was just saying a second ago, that the more practice you have at it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, apologize freely, apologize often, and just see what happens in your relationship.
Yeah. Then understanding that you can't control forgiveness, that if you do your part, that's all you have control over, and that you can't control the person receiving it. You just have to hope for the best.
Yep. You can just be accountable for your own actions, but you can't control how soon they forgive you or whether they forgive you. If you want to discuss this podcast with your partner, here are a couple things that you guys can talk about. I would love to see you two talk about the concept and rate yourself, not rate your partner, mind you, but rate yourself on your ability to apologize properly according to the steps that we've given you today. And the other thing I would say is, if you're someone who's resisting apologies, what old ideas about apologies might be holding you back from that? And I think it would be great for you two to talk about that and then let us know how that discussion goes and how you see changes in your relationship if you start implementing some of this stuff.
Well, if they rate themselves, would it be on a Likert scale, like 1 to 5, 5 being good and 1 being bad, or?
You do it however you want. Yes, if you're an excellent apologizer, you can rate yourself a 10 out of 10. And if you're a terrible apologizer, you can rate yourself a 1. Let us know. And yeah, just remember, no one likes a sorry, not sorry. No one likes a, I'm sorry you feel that way. No one likes an I'm sorry, but. So let's all try to do a little bit better with those things.
Yeah. So what's our next session going to be about?
Oh, next week, we are going to be talking about the grass isn't greener. It's just filtered. How social media comparison poisons love lives and what to do about it. Man, we got a lot to say about this. That's is out there doing some damage, friends.
Yes, it is.
But in the meantime, please send us any stories you have about apologizing. If you can top Rachel's story of breaking up with someone on a ski lift, I would love to hear that. We might give you a prize if you can top that story. So you can send it to us, via DM. We are on Instagram at Dateable AF. And if you're not following us, here's a shout out. Please follow us. And you could also email us, info@dateableaf.com. And as always, thank you so much for listening to the Dateable AF podcast, where we help you find your happy ending.
Remember, be bold, be kind, and for the love of queer dating, don't text your ex. Stay dateable.
AF.